Bob Sherman discusses his covert relationships with LGBT celebrities from the past. On July 22, 1943, Bobby Sherman was born in Santa Monica, California. He is Robert Kbat Sherman Jr. in full. When Bobby was younger, he had a strong interest in theater and music. He was raised in a household in Southern California that pushed him to try out his skills and supported him. He immediately gained ease on stage and learned to play a variety of instruments, including the guitar and trumpet. Sherman attended Birmingham High School under Nuys and Pierce College in Woodland Hills, where his musical abilities developed and he eventually attracted the notice of industry professionals. He was discovered by fellow singer and performer Sal Mano, who cast him in a rock and roll production he was organizing. It was his big break. Bobby was able to enter the entertainment industry thanks to their connection. Sherman's fame skyrocketed after he was cast in a recurring role as the reticent and endearing logger Jeremy Bolt on the classic ABC series Here Come the Brides, 1968-1970. His character struck a deep chord with people, and Bobby immediately became a major favorite with teenagers thanks to his quiet demeanor and gorgeous appearance. Bobby's singing career rose as the show improved. His hits included Little Woman, Juliet, Do You Love Me, Easy Come Easy Go, and La If I Had You. Many of his songs reached the top of the Billboard Hot 100. His songs captured the naivete and hope of the youth of the era with their catchy melodies and love lyrics. Millions of copies of his songs were sold, and he appeared on numerous teen-oriented shows, such as The Ed Sullivan Show and The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, and was the subject of major TV specials. He also performed on American Bandstand. Bobby Sherman was so well known that he had thousands of fan clubs and his shows were consistently sold out. His image appeared on posters, lunchboxes, magazine covers, and other products. This demonstrates how well-liked and significant he was to culture at his prime. Pop culture star Bobby Sherman's images appeared on the covers of numerous adolescent magazines, including Fave, 16 Magazine, and Tiger Beat. Fans would frequently scream with delight just to see him, and his performances around the nation were sold out. Despite his fame and frequent touring, Bobby remained grounded and genuinely thankful for his fans. He was regarded as one of the most courteous and respectable celebrities of his era, and his sincere and compassionate demeanor only served to increase his allure. Although many teenage idols eventually lose their notoriety, Bobby Sherman underwent a remarkable and motivational transformation in his older years. He became a qualified emergency medical technician and dedicated himself to public service after he left the spotlight in the 1980s. After that, he joined the Los Angeles Police Department as a technical reserve officer, where he focused on community safety initiatives and CPR instruction. Through his work with police and emergency services, Bobby demonstrated a profound commitment to helping others, saving lives, and giving back to the community that had hailed him as a pop star. Additionally, he was a founding member of the Bobby Sherman Volunteer EMT Foundation, which trained thousands of first responders and police officers in life-saving techniques. For the first time in a long time, Bobby Sherman returned to television in 1986 as a regular on the NBC comedy Sanchez. Sherman was able to showcase his comedic timing and seasoned acting presence in the sitcom, which followed a wealthy Latino family as they adapted to life in Beverly Hills. Sherman's appearance in the show was noteworthy because it was one of his final scripted parts, despite the fact that it was short-lived and had poor ratings. Because of Here Come the Brides and his early 1970s singing career, he was adored by fans. Even though he was only featured in a little role, they were overjoyed to see him again. Decades after his first rise to fame, his performance demonstrated not only his versatility but also his continued popularity in the entertainment industry. Bobby Sherman's work on television, particularly as a young hero in the late 1960s and early 1970s, is what made him most famous. But he also acted in a couple of films. One of his most well-known film appearances was in the 1975 family adventure film He Is My Brother, in which he portrayed the lead. The picture was directed by the well-known Edward Dietrich, who is most recognized for his iconic noir films. It tells the story of two young boys who are growing up in a Pacific mission. Sherman's character had to contend with issues of loyalty, bravery, and familial relationships. It offered him the opportunity to portray a more serious, dramatic character and depart from his persona as a teenage hero. His friends enjoyed the film, which is still unique in his filmography even though it didn't do well at the box office. In the cult hit Get Crazy, directed by Alan Arauch and combining campy comedy and satire, Bobby Sherman made a reappearance on the big screen in a radically different role in 1983. The film was a wild, unconventional homage to the culture of rock and roll. It dealt on the bizarre occurrences that take place behind the scenes at a show on New Year's Eve. When Sherman collaborated with fellow 1960s teen star Fabian and portrayed one of the villain's awkward thugs, fans accustomed to seeing Sherman in a clean-cut character were taken aback. Their intentionally absurd and humorous actions contributed to the bizarre and absurd tone of the movie. Despite not being a huge hit, Get Crazy developed a devoted following over time and provided Sherman with a humorous and self-aware means of parodying his own teen idol persona. When Bobby Sherman made a comeback to the stage in 1998 as part of the Teen Idol tour, audiences were astonished and thrilled. For the most of the 1980s and 1990s, he had withdrawn from the media to concentrate on his family and his second career as an emergency medical technician. Davy Jones of the Monkees and the renowned Peter Noone of Herman's Hermits were on the same bill as Sherman. The audiences were once again mesmerized by his timeless hits and captivating stage presence. The tour honored the enduring impact and nostalgia of 1960s pop music. Longtime followers who had grown up loving Sherman's songs and TV shows turned out in large, enthusiastic crowds. In 1999, Mickey Dolenz, another well-known Monkee, took Davy Jones' place on the tour. He kept the presentation lively and the energy strong. Sherman enjoyed the tour because it allowed him to see his fans again and experience the excitement of live performance after a 20-year hiatus. Bobby Sherman's final solo performance took place on August 25, 2001, in Lincoln, Rhode Island. It was an emotional and meaningful farewell as fans gathered to see the conclusion of an incredible musical journey that began over 30 years ago. Even though he was now an adult, his voice retained the warmth and sweetness that had brought him fame. Following that performance, Sherman formally retired from the public spotlight, although he continued to sometimes appear at charity fundraisers and business gatherings. He did this in order to exploit his notoriety to promote charitable organizations, particularly those that assisted children and offered emergency medical care, two areas of his life in which he eventually got deeply involved. Bobby Sherman's private life was frequently kept more private, despite the fact that his public work was highly visible. Two significant partnerships reflected various phases of his life. Sherman's first marriage was to Patty Carnell. When he was at the top of his game, she accompanied him on some of his travels. When Sherman first met her, he was still basking in the glory of his TV appearances and songs from the late 1960s and early 1970s. Their relationship deepened throughout Bobby's heyday, which was characterized by devoted followers, concert tours, and numerous TV appearances. Despite the challenges of living in the spotlight, Bobby and Patty married and started a family. Christopher Sherman and Tyler Sherman were their two boys from their marriage. Even when he left show business to pursue other endeavors, Bobby continued to be active in his children's life because he was incredibly proud of them. However, as is typical of partnerships that begin under the strain of celebrity, Bobby and Patty eventually experienced issues that led to their divorce. Bobby remained dedicated to being a father despite their divorce. He was considered to have a great love and concern for his children, prioritizing their needs and encouraging their interests as adults. His tight and enduring relationship with his boys, according to others, demonstrates his character and values outside of work. After decades of taking care of his family, helping others, and working an incredible second job as a police officer and EMT, Bobby Sherman eventually found love again. He married Bridget Publon on July 18, 2010, a joyous occasion that took place in Las Vegas. A new age of friendship, support, and a common objective began on the day of their wedding. Bridget became Bobby's life partner and collaborator in helping others because she shared his enthusiasm in doing good deeds. The Bridget and Bobby Sherman Children's Foundation was founded by them. By offering healthcare and education, it seeks to enhance the lives of families and children in Ghana, West Africa. Because they share similar values, care for one another, and support one another, they have a close relationship. Former adolescent superstar Bobby Sherman has came clean about a long-kept secret. He was seeing a number of gay celebrities from classic Hollywood films. Hollywood and sentimental fans were rocked by this terrible and intensely personal revelation. For many years, Sherman was renowned as the ideal heterosexual, chaste beauty. His soft-spoken charm and beautiful blue eyes won over millions of young girls in the 1960s and 1970s. Behind the scenes, Sherman led a considerably more complex and subtly courageous personal life. Due to the homophobic climate of the time, she maintained personal relationships with some of the most well-known male celebrities in Hollywood, but they had to remain under wraps. After years of whispers, it was revealed that Sherman had written about multiple extramarital affairs in an unpublished draft of a memoir. Instead of being scandalous, the writing had a gentle tone that conveyed a sense of mutual anxiety, solidarity, and emotional depth. One of the most unexpected names that surfaced was Tab Hunter, the slick 1950s matinee idol. In his book, Hunter later came out. Sherman claimed that in the late 1960s, he and Hunter had a brief but intense connection. Since both guys had to maintain a false public persona while concealing their true selves, they became friends after meeting at a gathering for business. Despite his might, Tab had sadness in his eyes. In his writing, Sherman reportedly wrote, "We both knew the stakes were high, but in our own way, we gave each other the love and freedom we couldn't get anywhere else." Sherman was also close to Rock Hudson, the renowned romantic comic and dramatic legend who lived a double life. Hudson and Sherman reportedly met while working on a charity event in the early 1970s, despite the fact that Sherman was more than 10 years Hudson's junior. What started as a mentorship soon turned into a deeply affectionate bond, Sherman wrote in his private writings. They were together for a short months, but the relationship profoundly altered both of their lives. As Sherman described it, "He had so much of Hollywood on his shoulders, but with me, he could just be. Rock had the funniest laugh, and he never made me feel small." The most contentious name associated with Sherman was most likely Anthony Perkins, who portrayed the melancholy protagonist in Psycho. Their connection was described as intellectually stimulating and emotionally intense. It took place behind closed doors at a time when both men were struggling to maintain a healthy balance between their private and public lives. "Tony was being tortured," Sherman wrote. "However, he felt better when he was with me. For hours, we would perform duets at the piano, allowing the music to express what we were unable to." Even though they each moved on to other people, they remained close friends for years after that. Although Sherman has not verified these allegations in well-known interviews, they highlight the frightened and constrictive atmosphere that drove so many LGBTQ+ entertainers to live in secret and give his public persona a heartfelt touch. Keeping these connections a secret was not a source of shame. Being alive was crucial in those days because a single rumor might destroy your reputation, safety, and work. Decades later, having the guts to stand up helps uncover the forgotten tales of Hollywood's heyday. These were real relationships formed in a society where being genuine was extremely risky. They weren't only temporary ones. A group of performers who were forced to live behind masks have a voice thanks to his narrative. It serves as a reminder that Hollywood wasn't all fun and games. People's lives were actually lost. The entertainment industry was stunned to learn in March 2025 that Bobby Sherman had been diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer. In a brief but poignant public statement, his family broke the heartbreaking news. They informed everyone, even his devoted fan base. The news devastated many who had witnessed Sherman's incredible transformation from 1960s adolescent star to devoted public worker. The fact that even the brightest stars can fall was demonstrated. Sherman's songs, TV roles, and later work as a paramedic and reserve police officer had a lasting influence on admirers, even though he stopped appearing in public at the age of 81. Sherman had chosen to mostly conceal the fact that his health had been deteriorating for some time. During this difficult period, friends and co-workers recalled his strength, humor, and unrelenting determination. They also claimed that he handled his illness with the same humility and kindness that had brought him fame in the public eye. Despite his dire diagnosis, Bobby remained upbeat and spiritual in the months that followed, according to people close to him. He was encircled by his devoted family, which included his 2 kids from his previous marriage to Patty Carnell, his wife Bridget Publon, whom he married in 2010, and a number of close friends. Sherman spent his final months in his Los Angeles home. He reportedly felt better after receiving messages from people around the globe, music, and visits from relatives and friends. Many of Sherman's co-workers from the heyday of music and television wrote to express their gratitude and encouragement. They recalled his decades-long career of kindness, professionalism, and generosity. On June 24, 2025, Bobby Sherman passed away peacefully at home. Many people had been impacted by his lengthy and fascinating life. He was 81. Following his passing, he received a lot of tributes on social media, TV, and music channels. Numerous admirers, past co-stars, and other musicians gave him high marks. Sherman was well known for his incredible second job as a skilled EMT and reserve police officer, where he saved lives, taught CPR, and helped people in a quiet, honest way that won over a new generation. His youthful energy used to light up TV shows like Here Come the Brides, and he made hit songs like Little Woman and Julie, Do You Love Me? His passing put an end to a chapter in a story that is exclusively American. He moved from being feared by adolescent audiences to being highly respected by the emergency medical field and the entertainment industry. As a musician and a humanitarian, Bobby Sherman had a profound impression on the world.